What's up guys, Cash back again, and this morning while I was living my life planning today's video, a source with info on what's been going on with the roadmap for Avengers or the lack thereof reached out to me on Twitter and shared a bit of insight about what's been going on behind the scenes for Avengers and how it has affected the current status of the game's roadmap for upcoming content. So that's what I'll be covering in today's video, and real quick, if you're interested in picking up some new superhero drip, then shop with Fandom Million because they have got you covered on all the Marvel and DC merch, and if you use my code you can get an extra 10% off your purchase. And also consider becoming a channel member to get early access to new videos as well as exclusive content for channel members. But now let's jump into the video. So the big questions hanging over Marvel's Avengers since the start of the year have been, when is the roadmap coming and what content / heroes will be featured on it. And because the game is now in its second year, a lot of us assume that the team will have a pretty solid outline of where content would go for the year, and that the roadmap would be similar to the roadmap we saw back in March of 2021. And allegedly those assumptions were correct, with the rumor being that because She-Hulk was the furthest along in terms of development, she was on pace to be the first new hero released to start the year. But those initial plans changed because Disney chose to push back the release of her Disney Plus series, which in turn caused Marvel Games to instruct Crystal Dynamics to hold off her release in Avengers for the sake of brand synergy. This not only disrupted the devs' plans in terms of content, but it also put the team in a bind because they now have to replace She-Hulk as the planned content to start the year, which is where our good friend Miller comes in. Just as Miller was starting his year-long stream over on Twitch, he let slip that a new hero was being planned to launch ahead of She-Hulk, and that this hero was a female and would basically be an echo of an existing hero, which he later confirmed to be Jane Foster's Mighty Thor. The reason the dev team allegedly was looking to go this route is because 1, they needed to add something to replace She-Hulk since it was decided to hold off her release, and 2, there's no way they could build an original hero from the ground up with such a small time frame, thus the decision to introduce an Echo hero. And 3rd, they allegedly wanted to add a hero that wasn't on the list of planned heroes that were leaked by Miller and other data miners, which is why they didn't choose someone like War Machine, although I also suspect Brian, the lead system designer, wouldn't have agreed with making War Machine an echo of Iron Man anyway, because he's a well-known fan of War Machine, and he's made a name for himself with his work on War Machine and Marvel Heroes. But as for how all of this has affected the roadmap, according to sources close to the game, Marvel Games has disrupted plans for the release of She-Hulk as well as other content on 3 separate occasions, forcing the team to move things around to the point where the roadmaps we've become accustomed to receiving are basically a thing of the past, and going forward, content information is expected to be more in line with what we saw back in February, where they announced a planned update, and in the weeks leading up to that update, they expand on the details surrounding that update through blog posts and dev streams, and once the update goes live and all the bugs that came with it are sorted out, it will be silence until the next update is ready to announce. Now I know that invites mixed reactions because on one hand, knowing what's coming for the year gives players something to look forward to and be excited for, and with a game that doesn't have the best track record as far as communication goes, it's not ideal to be in the dark about what's planned until they are actually ready to release it. I myself have been looking forward to seeing the roadmap because I expect to see not only the reveal of She-Hulk, but also the Winter Soldier and Captain Marvel for later in the year, as well as some kind of event surrounding Ultron. So the idea that they're moving away from showing us the outline of planned content is very disappointing, but I understand they were put in a tough spot because of mandates from Marvel Games. With She-Hulk's Disney Plus series not set to release until later this year, after the release of the Ms. Marvel show coming in June, it seems like we possibly won't see her until later in the year, which is probably around the time they were looking to drop Captain Marvel, because if things had gone according to plan, I believe Captain Marvel would have been scheduled to release sometime between August and November, with a possible raid coming in the following weeks. So this indeed puts them in a bind because you have to remember, so much of the new hero operations are grounded in the game's overall narrative and story aspects, so where if it was simply a matter of releasing just a hero, they could easily switch the order of things and drop the Winter Soldier ahead of She-Hulk with no major setbacks. setbacks. But because so much planning goes into crafting the game's story and introduction of new heroes, something like that simply isn't an option, unfortunately. I know players are frustrated with not only the lack of new content to start the year, but also with the lack of any official information surrounding what's coming, but it's honestly not as simple as what most people want to make it out to be. The dev team is not the biggest, and they don't have full autonomy over plans for the game. They have to adhere to so many guidelines and so much oversight from Marvel games that situations like this are not going to be uncommon for them. And Marvel has a say in what heroes they greenlight for the game, so it's not as simple as planning what they want to do, because they have to run whatever they decide on by the team at Marvel for input, and that can change things completely or kill an idea altogether, which means it's back to the drawing board. But that's allegedly what's been disrupting plans for the team working on Avengers, and why we haven't seen a roadmap this year, and why the roadmap we eventually get could look very different from what we're used to. But as always, I want to hear you guys' thoughts on things. Would you be open to the idea of short-term update announcements, or would you prefer the regular format we're used to seeing for the roadmaps? Let me know down below, and make sure to drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to catch more Marvel's Avengers content every week. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.